let's talk about plotting. So there's a couple type of plots we're going to talk about in MATLAB. We've got plot, fplot, semilog, semilog y, and log. We'll focus on those. There's a whole bunch of other ones listed on this table that work similar, but we're going to focus on those basic 2D plots that are line graphs. So the first thing with plotting is the figure function. It's used to open up what's called a new figure window where we can plot some data. So if I type in MATLAB figure, it's going to go ahead and open up a new figure window. My figure window is automatically docked. If you want to go ahead and dock it, you just click on the circle and you say dock or undock. If you want to open a specific type of figure or a specific label of a figure, you can open up figure, whatever your label is in parentheses, and it will open up that specific name for your figure. You can have multiple figure windows open up at once. Multiple plots can exist on the same figure window. If you do plot, automatically it's going to open up a new figure window. But this is how we open one manually, and it's good practice to open up your figure windows separately. From this menu up here, you can also save your figures, you can export your figures, copy your figures. You have a lot you can do with the figures that you create, which is really useful for like lab reports and stuff. Opposite to figure is close, which close will automatically close all of your figure windows. I like to put close at the top of all of my files, all of my script files if I'm plotting, so that it just opens up new figures every single time I plot instead of keeping the old ones open. So that's good practice. Okay, so we have a new figure window open. Woohoo! I'll open up figure 1 again. And then we can go ahead and plot something. So the first plotting function is called plot. It's used to create a line graph where a straight line is used to connect data points. So if I have a bunch of y values, so y equals 1 to 10, and I plot y, it's going to use the index of x, or it's going to use the index of y on the x-axis, so 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, etc. And you can see it plots a straight line between all of my points. Now if I say y equals, or if I say x equals negative 10 to 10 and y equals x squared, I can also plot x and y. And now you can see that it plots my x values and my y values 1 point at a time, so negative 10, 100, negative 9, 81, negative 8, 64, etc. Plots those one at a time and then connects the dots with straight lines. Another thing you can do is you can plot multiple y versus x values at once. So let's say we have x2 that's equal to negative 10 also to negative 10, and y2 which is equal to the absolute value of x2. I can plot x comma y and x2 comma y2. So now you can see this blue one is x squared and this orange one is the absolute value. Keep in mind your x and y vectors must be the same length because it needs a single data point, one x value, one y value for everything it plots. That is the plot function. Similar to the plot function is the fplot function. I shouldn't say similar. It does the same thing. It plots a function. And we'll go over specific examples of this. But if this is what it looks like to plot x squared, where I say x equals this, y equals this, the corresponding fplot, so I'm going to open up a new figure window. So the corresponding fplot would look like this. Fplot, my syntax is over here. I do the at x, or at my independent variable. So in parentheses, it'd be x, it'd be t, whatever your independent variable is, whatever's going to go along your x-axis, and then my function, so x squared. And there we go. It automatically defined my limits between negative 5 and 5. If I wanted to change those limits, I could just give it a vector and say I want to plot it between negative 10 and 10. And now it changed my limits from negative 5 to negative 5, and negative 10 to negative 10. And we'll go over more examples on how to use fplot. But fplot is nice if you have a mathematical function with one independent variable. Once again, that's x, that's t, whatever's along your x-axis. But you need the specific mathematical function in order to use this one. So it eliminates the need to create separate x and y vectors, and it's adaptive. It adds more points when needed to generate a smoother curve, whereas with plot, you need to figure out how many points you need. There's also a couple logarithmic functions, so semilog x, semilog y, and log. These ones plot the sum data on a linear axis and sum data on a logarithmic axis. They work exactly the same as plot, so they work like the plot function. So go ahead and use those just like the plot function. It depends on which data you want on linear and which data you want on log. So this is log on the x-axis, this is log on the y-axis, this is log on both. One other thing we can do is when we open up a new figure window, so figure 3, when we open up a new figure window, we can also separate that figure into multiple areas called subplots. So this is used to plot multiple data sets on the same figure window where each plot is on its own set of axes. This white space here is considered a set of axes. So let's say I want to go ahead and break my figure window up into 2 axes, one here and one here. I can use subplot, so we figure out how many rows and columns we want. So here's 1 row and 2 columns. And then this would be figure 1 in that window, this would be figure 2 in that window. So I can say subplot 1, 2, 1. And that's going to give me just that region. If I say subplot 1, 2, 2, it's going to give me that one. And I can break it up in as many rows and as many columns as I want to. My plot numbers go down columns first, and then over to the next column. And then lastly, so that's if I want multiple graphs in their own different set of axes. If I want to do multiple graphs or multiple plots on the same axes, I can use hold. So hold on and hold off. So these are going to keep the data on the figure versus removing the data. So let me go ahead and open up a new figure window. So remember I have x1, x and y, x2, y2. I can go ahead and say plot x2, y2. It's going to plot the same data on my graph. Let's say I want to go ahead and plot 1 to 10, comma 1 to 10. If I do a new plot command, it's going to go ahead and just delete what was there and write over it. Let's say I wanted to keep that there and I want to just add to it. I can say hold on. Now it's going to add to it. So plot x, y, then I can plot, let's do 1 to 100, as it shows. So it's just going to keep adding to it over and over and over again. And then if I want to stop that, I can say hold off. And we'll see an example of that. So that's the different ways we can get lines on our plots. We can go ahead and break up our plots or our figures into multiple sets of axes. We can open up new figure windows. So there's a lot we can do there. In the next video, we'll talk about how we can go ahead and start to annotate our plots and make them look really pretty.